Has this ever happened to you? You pour your heart, your soul, your time, your everything into helping someone, only to have them turn on you? It's this incredibly painful and honestly super confusing experience. Today, we're going to get into the psychology behind this so you can finally understand why it happens and, more importantly, how you can protect your peace from here on out. So let's just get right into it. I want you to pause for a second and really bring someone to mind. That one person. The one you did the absolute most for. Maybe you were their rock when they had no one else. You bent over backward, maybe even bent yourself into a pretzel just to make sure they were okay. Got 'em? Okay, now ask yourself, where are they right now? If that question stings a little, or a lot, if they're nowhere to be found, or worse, if they've somehow become a source of pain, I need you to hear this. Really hear it. You are not alone in this feeling, and what you did was not wrong. This specific kind of hurt is real, it's valid, and we're going to unpack it together. Let's actually give it a name, because it deserves one. We'll call it the quiet wound. You know what I'm talking about. It's that pain that lingers, that confusion that keeps you up at night, replaying everything, trying to figure out what you missed, what you did wrong, when deep down in your gut, you know you gave it your all. Okay, so we've talked about the what. Now let's get into the why. And this is where it starts to make a weird kind of sense, because we have to flip the script and look at what might be going on in their head. So here's the central idea, and it's a tough one to swallow. What you see as a beautiful act of kindness, they can actually feel as a threat. Yeah, your support, your help, your generosity, it can become this constant walking, talking reminder of a time when they were struggling, when they were weak, or when they felt broken. And some people just can't stand that reminder.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Every single time they look at you, or even think of you, they have to remember that they needed that bridge, and you were the one who built it for them. For some people, that feeling of gratitude is just too heavy. It's actually easier for them to light a match, burn the whole thing down, and convince themselves they never needed to cross it anyway.
And that feeling has a name too. It's called rotting debt. Think about it. When a debt is so huge that there's no way to ever truly repay it, that gratitude, it doesn't stay pure. It starts to sour. It festers and curdles over time, and eventually it can turn into pure resentment. Now this part is absolutely critical for you to understand. In this whole situation, you're not the problem. You are simply the mirror. You're reflecting back a version of themselves that they hate. And when someone hates their own reflection, what's their first instinct? It's not to work on themselves, it's to shatter the mirror. So how does someone justify shattering that mirror? I mean, how do they live with themselves? Well, our brains are incredibly good at protecting us from feeling like the bad guy. So they start to tell a different story. To get away from the crushing weight of guilt, their brain literally starts to rewrite history. And listen, this isn't always a conscious, I'm gonna lie kind of thing. It's a really powerful, subconscious self-defense move. They have to create a new reality, a new story, where their actions, their betrayal, actually makes sense. And this story usually gets written in 3 predictable chapters. First, that rotting debt we talked about builds and builds into resentment. Then, to make that resentment feel right, they have to recast you in the story. Suddenly, your help wasn't pure, it was controlling. Your kindness must have had a hidden motive. And once they've successfully painted you as the villain, well, then their betrayal isn't a betrayal anymore, is it? It's just them escaping the bad guy. Okay, understanding their side is half the battle. But the other half, and this is the hard part, requires us to look in our own mirror. So we have to ask a gentle but really important question. Is your self-worth maybe, just maybe, a little bit tied to being needed? Because if you measure your own value by how much you can do for others, you're going to be a magnet for people who need to be carried. You know, there's such a fine line between helping someone up and becoming a permanent crutch. When you're always there to break their fall, you might actually be preventing them from hitting the rock bottom they need to hit to finally learn how to stand on their own 2 feet. You become their excuse, and eventually, people learn to resent their excuses. All right, so how do we break this cycle? How can we learn to see things a little more clearly before we're in too deep? Let's talk about 2 incredibly simple but powerful tests you can start using to really gauge a relationship's true colors. Honestly, these 2 tests will tell you almost everything you need to know. Test number 1, watch what happens when you win. When something great happens to you, a real friend is genuinely thrilled. But if they get quiet, or a little weird, or start making passive-aggressive comments, That's probably envy hiding behind a polite smile. And test number 2, this is the big one. Say no. A person who values you will understand and respect your boundary. A person who just values what you can do for them will get cold or try to guilt trip you or even call you selfish. Pay attention to that.
And all of this leads us to the most important part. How do we heal and move forward? The goal isn't to stop being a kind, generous person. It's about learning to give in a way that doesn't leave you broken.
I really want this to sink in. Healing is not about building a fortress around your heart so no one can ever get in. It's about becoming wiser. It's about learning to be a good gatekeeper. You're just trading in a bleeding heart for a wise one, learning to spot those red flags so you can pour your amazing energy into people and places where it's truly cherished. So here's the new way forward, your new mantra. Number 1, you have to fill your own cup first. Always. You give from your overflow, not from your core. Number 2, whatever you give, offer it as a true gift, not a sacrifice. A gift is given freely. A sacrifice expects something in return, even if it's just appreciation, and that's where resentment starts. And finally, remember who you are. You are not a 24/7 help hotline. You are not a hospital. You are a person. I'm going to leave you with this one last thought. Please, just take a breath and absorb it. You, the helper, the giver, the one who is always there holding everyone else up, you are a human being who deserves to be held in exactly the same way. Your worth is not up for debate. It's not based on your usefulness. It just is. And it's time to start holding that space for yourself.